Whitney Houston was one of the most influential and successful singers of all time. She had a unique and powerful voice that blended gospel, pop, and R&B styles. She sold over 200 million records worldwide and won numerous awards, including 6 Grammys, 2 Emmys, and 22 American Music Awards. She also made history on the Billboard charts with her albums and singles. She transcended music and ventured into film, television, and fashion. While Whitney was at the top of her game, her life was tragically cut short. Was it an accidental drowning, or was she high on drugs? Join us as we explore the last minutes of Whitney Houston. Whitney Elizabeth Houston was born on August 9, 1963, in Newark, New Jersey. Born into a musical dynasty, Whitney was destined to become a singer. Houston's mother was Grammy-winning gospel vocalist Cissy Houston, who sang background music for artists like Elvis Presley and Aretha Franklin. Her father, John Russell Houston Jr., was an entertainment manager and Army veteran. Houston was also the cousin of Dionne Warwick, a 6-time Grammy-winning recording artist who sold more than 100 million records. Whitney Houston got her start in music at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, where her mother was a choir minister. Houston attended Franklin Elementary School in East Orange, New Jersey, where she grew up. The school was later renamed the Whitney E. Houston Academy of Creative and Performing Arts in 1997. She would later transfer to Mount Saint Dominic Academy, a Catholic school for girls, in the 6th grade, where she graduated in 1981. After she completed high school, Whitney did not pursue higher education, but instead chose to focus on her singing and modeling career. By the age of 15, she was singing backing vocals professionally with her mother on Chaka Khan's 1978 hit, I'm Every Woman. Around the same time, she was discovered by a photographer who was awed by her natural beauty. She soon became an extremely sought-after teen model, one of the first African-American women to appear on the cover of 17 magazine. But music remained her true love. When she was 19, Houston was discovered in a nightclub by Arista Records Clive Davis, who signed her immediately and took the helm of her career as she navigated from gospel to pop stardom. In 1983, Houston made her debut on national television, appearing on the Merv Griffin Show to sing Home from the musical The Wiz. She and Davis spent the next 2 years working on her debut album, finding the best producers and songwriters available to showcase her amazing vocal. 2 years went into the making of her first studio album, and in February 1985, the self-titled Whitney Houston album was released. The results were worth it because it ended up producing a string of hits, including You Give Good Love, and 3 consecutive #1 singles, Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, and The Greatest Love of All. In 1986, she won her first Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance, Female, for Saving All My Love for You. She performed the song live at the 28th Grammy Awards. Not only did the album establish her as an important new recording artist, but it went on to sell over 13 million copies in the US, plus many millions more abroad. This LP set the record as the biggest-selling debut album by a solo artist. Whitney Houston's second album was called Whitney. It was released on June 2, 1987, by Arista Records as the follow-up to her best-selling debut album, Whitney Houston. The album was a huge success, both commercially and critically. The album's first 4 singles, I Wanna Dance with Somebody, Didn't We Almost Have It All, So Emotional, and Where Do Broken Hearts Go? They all peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, also making her the first female artist to achieve 4 #1 hits from one album. The album sold over 20 million copies worldwide and won Houston a second Grammy Award in 1988 for Best Pop Vocal Performance, Female, for I Wanna Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. Her third studio album, I'm Your Baby Tonight, was released on November 6, 1990. The album was a commercial and critical success, selling over 10 million copies worldwide. Whitney Houston was not only a talented singer, but also an actress as well. She made her acting debut with the romantic thriller film The Bodyguard in 1992, in which she starred as the lead actress. The film received mixed reviews, but what stood out was the soundtrack by Whitney's I Will Always Love You. The song was originally written and recorded by Dolly Parton in 1973, but Houston's version became more popular and successful. The song was released as a single on November 3, 1992, and became a worldwide hit. It topped the charts in many countries, including the US, where it stayed at #1 for 14 weeks, breaking the record for the longest-running #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100. It would eventually end up selling 20 million copies and winning a Grammy in 1994. She continued to act and sing in films such as Waiting to Exhale in 1995, followed by The Preacher's Wife in 1996. She also featured in Cinderella, released in 1997. She also released more studio albums such as My Love Is Your Love in 1998, which contained the hit singles It's Not Right, But It's Okay and Heartbreak Hotel. She also collaborated with other artists such as Mariah Carey, Enrique Iglesias, and George Michael. At the Soul Train Music Awards in 1989, Houston, then 25, met Bobby Brown, a 20-year-old who had already made the smash album Don't Be Cruel in 1988. They were soon dating, despite their 5.5-year age difference. Houston turned down Brown's first marriage proposal, claiming it was not in her plans. But love blossomed, and the couple wed on July 18, 1992, though publicly and privately, many questioned the union. She was America's current sweetheart, with a squeaky clean image built on songs about love and longing. Meanwhile, he was the reigning bad boy of music who had previously been shot, was involved with gangs during his adolescence, and was already the father of 3 children from 2 women. Though it appeared to be a mismatch, Houston had long been attracted to so-called bad boys, having previously dated Eddie Murphy. In March 1993, their daughter and only child, Bobby Christina Brown, was born. Although the first year of matrimony brought success and a growing family, the couple was already plagued by gossip reports about their relationship. It was alleged that Bobby Brown had introduced Whitney to drugs. During the marriage, Brown was arrested on drug and alcohol charges, and Houston entered rehab on 2 occasions. Struggling with her demons, Houston had become increasingly unreliable, canceling 5 shows during her 1999 tour, including a sold-out arena event in her hometown of Newark 15 minutes before showtime. Increasingly thin, she arrived late for photo shoots and was reportedly fired from a planned Oscar ceremony appearance in 2000 due to a poor rehearsal performance. It was apparent that her voice was suffering. That same year, she was arrested for marijuana possession at an airport in Hawaii, but the charges were later dropped. In 2002, she admitted to using alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, and prescription drugs in an interview with Diane Sawyer.
Whitney dying, crack rehab fails.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. Crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get that straight, okay? We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack.
In 2003, Brown was arrested for allegedly striking Houston. She supported her husband during court appearances, and he wasn't convicted, denying ever hitting her. In 2005, the reality show Being Bobby Brown showcased the couple's chaotic, conflict-filled relationship. Houston came across as a foul-mouthed, confrontational woman with numerous vices, among them a vocally destructive cigarette habit. By the time of her 2007 divorce, Houston was working on a 2009 comeback album, I Look to You, her first in 6 years. Davis pulled out all the stops to promote the album, which landed at #1 despite mixed reviews. A massive publicity blitz included a 2-hour sit-down with Oprah Winfrey in which Houston revealed that she and Brown smoked crack, but that her more damaging addiction was to her husband. He was my drug, it was me and him together, and we were partners, and that's what my high was him. Her drug use became heavy after The Bodyguard was released in 1992, and by 1996, she was using drugs daily. A 2010 European tour, her first in 11 years, was a sad spectacle of missed high notes and cancelled performances. In May 2011, she returned to rehab as an outpatient, citing drug and alcohol problems. Her drug problems worsened throughout 2011. Her last moments were marked by both joy and turmoil. On Thursday, February 9, 2012, Houston was a guest at Grammy nominee Kelly Price's party. She was there with her 19-year-old daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, and performed a duet with Price in the early hours of Friday morning in what would become her last performance. She also visited singers Brandy and Monica with Clive Davis during their rehearsals for the party. At the party, Houston reportedly clashed with singer and former X Factor finalist Stacey Francis. Houston and Stacey were reintroduced at the party, and all seemed fine until R&B star Ray J, who had dated Houston on and off for several years, entered the conversation. Ray was trying to defend Stacey, and there was a heated exchange between the three. Photos taken later that night showed Houston disheveled, agitated, and bloated as she left. She reportedly had to be escorted from the club with blood dripping down her leg and scratches on her wrist. The next day, February 10th, Houston reportedly spent Friday night at the bar of the Beverly Hilton Hotel with a group of friends. She was at the bar for a long time, drinking and being very loud. On that fateful day, Houston had been planning to attend friend and mentor Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on Saturday night, February 11th, 2012. At some point in the morning or early afternoon, Houston's cousin, the singer Dionne Warwick, spoke to Houston over the phone to make sure they were seated at the same table at Davis's party. At this point, there were no signs of trouble. Around 3:15 p.m., Houston spoke to her mother, Cissy Houston, and everything still seemed to be fine. Less than 30 minutes later, at 3:43 p.m., Mary Jones, Whitney Houston's aunt, who was staying with her at the hotel, found Whitney submerged, unresponsive, in a bathtub filled with extremely hot water. She rushed to call Whitney's bodyguard, Ray Watson, to help her. Together, they succeeded in pulling Whitney out of the bathtub. She was found submerged, unresponsive, in a bathtub filled with extremely hot water. Paramedics, who were already on the scene in preparation for the event later in the evening, arrived at Houston's room 2 minutes later. They tried to resuscitate the 48-year-old singer with CPR, but were unable to revive her. Houston was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. She was only 48 years old. Los Angeles Coroner's Office officials left with Houston's body around 1:50 a.m. The Clive Davis party went on as planned, with Davis saying that was what Houston would have wanted. The coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning, with heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. Cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, muscle relaxers, and allergy medications were all found in her system when she died, according to the autopsy report. The report also revealed that she had a small spoon with cocaine residue, a rolled-up piece of paper, and a mirror with white powder on it in her bathroom, Suite 434 at the Beverly Hilton. No trauma or foul play was suspected. Whitney Houston's net worth at the time of her death was negative $20 million due to her debts to Sony Music and other creditors. After her death, her estate earned an estimated $40 million in 9 months, mainly from the spike in her record and single sales and the release of her movie Sparkle, in which she acted and executive produced. Whitney Houston's will, which was written in 1993 and amended in 2000, left her entire estate to her only daughter, Bobby Christina Brown. When she turned 21, Bobby Christina received 10% of Houston's estate, or reportedly about $2 million. Unfortunately, Bobby Christina Brown died in 2015 at the age of 22 after being found unconscious in a bathtub. Had she lived at age 25, she would have received another 1/6 of the estate, roughly $3 million, and she would have had full access to the money at age 30. In a 2016 wrongful death lawsuit, Nick Gordon, Bobby Christina's boyfriend, was found legally liable for Bobby Christina's death, although he never faced criminal charges. In that same lawsuit, the conservator of Bobby Christina's estate claimed that Gordon had intended to steal Bobby Christina's inheritance by falsely maintaining that he was married to Bobby Christina. Gordon died in 2020 from a heroin overdose. As for the estimated $18 million of the Houston estate that Bobby Christina did not live to enjoy, Whitney Houston's will provided that if her daughter died unmarried and without children of her own and without a will, the remainder of the estate would go to Houston's 2 brothers and to her mother, Cissy Houston. Bobby Brown was not entitled to any portion of this part of the estate, even though he is listed as a beneficiary in Houston's will, because the document referred to him as my husband, Robert B. Brown. Houston and Brown divorced in 2007, so he no longer met the requirements of being her husband. Whitney Houston's estate is estimated to increase with the success of the biopic I Wanna Dance with Somebody, which stars Naomi Ackie as the iconic singer and was released in December 2022. The film has grossed over $60 million worldwide since its release. Whitney Houston is widely regarded as one of the greatest singers of all time and one of the best-selling music artists ever. She influenced many singers in popular music such as Jennifer Hudson, Adele, and Beyoncé. She is also remembered for her humanitarian work, which she did through the Whitney E. Houston Legacy Foundation. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2020. She truly left a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come.